All right. I'm kind of excited to see how we get with Facebook, how it works with Facebook.
Me too.
I'm excited to see that. All right, we see some people popping on board. Ooh,
Johnny. Hi,
there's
Johnny.
Johnny. We got Jody. We've got Karen. Oh, Karen's on board. Excellent. Michelle. Good. Vala. Hey, guys. Give us a shout out in the chat section as you jump on board. We are also broadcasting to the VitalFit Facebook page. So in case any of you would like to watch us from there, if you'd like to post to your groups. Oh, is that my co-host coming on board?
Oh, here, I may have
Oh,
made
yeah, now it's a party.
okay. If I can get it, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully I get this to go. I'm not sure why I've got an audio issue going on, but I'm in.
How's your video, Greg?
I got 0 video. I see you guys great. You look good, sound good. I've got nothing.
Okay, it looks like we're live on Facebook. Excellent. Hey, Vala from Seattle. Since June 2018. Welcome. I love the name Vala. It's pretty.
It is.
All right, so we are streaming live on Facebook. Excellent. So just trying to see if we can pick up those comments. Hey there, oh, Carol, how you doing? We got Jody on board. All right. Guys, we're just going to give you a couple of minutes. We're troubleshooting a couple things here because we are streaming to Facebook as well. So we're just kind of trying to get our footing here. Hey, Kay from Alaska.
Okay.
She says, ready to be out hiking. Then tonight is your night, Kay.
Oh, good, good. Yeah.
We've got Glenda from Seattle. Excellent. Greg, are you able to see the comments? You're still able to see everything?
Yeah, I can see the comments. Unfortunately, I'm not having much success picking my video up, so I apologize, everybody. But I can read the chat box and see YouTube, and you look great, by the way. And I apologize for this. I'm not really sure what's going on. It's really from one day working fine to.
It's the gremlins, Greg.
I've got them.
I'm firmly convinced I have gremlins in my computer. You're the one that has more than I do.
Yeah,
We've got really Kathy from Puyallup, Washington. I don't know if I pronounced it.
It's Puyallup, I think. Puyallup. Yes.
And Ingrid, El Paso.
Yeah, well, hello everybody. I'm still trying to work this out. Ingrid, El Paso. It's probably getting warm down there, I bet. And Kay, we all know you're a cat. Thanks, Kay.
80 degrees in El Paso.
80 degrees.
I love you.
Yeah, I'll say mute.
Alrighty. All right, guys, another few seconds and then we'll probably get started.
Yeah, and maybe talking a little bit to a blank screen here for me. Hide self view. Every time I try to add it, ladies, it's basically hiding me. So.
Well, we're thrilled to be able to hear your voice, Greg.
Okay, good. At least you can hear me, and
yes.
For whatever reason.
Oh, there you are.
Do you see me?
Don't touch it. Yes.
Yeah, I can't see myself. All right, good.
Yeah.
Hands off, Greg.
Yeah, you look good. Stay right there.
Okay, I can't see myself, so I'm just gonna go with you two. All right. All right. Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late on here. I don't know what's going on. It's got some camera. I'm not gonna touch it. There's got to be. So yeah, welcome the 22 people who signed up. I see that.
We're still not seeing comments from Facebook, so if there's anybody watching, hopefully.
Stop. Why is that you?
Okay.
All right.
Everyone, hello.
So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Chris Robacher with VitalFit, and the topic for tonight is staying active and fit for the summer with Cosi and Greg. Please feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat section, and we will be sure to answer those questions before the end. We've got 3 great giveaways, but no worries. If you don't win, we've got a discount code at the end. And tonight I'd like to introduce Cosi Bioso, who extraordinaire. Cosi's been in clinical practice as a PT, our master's in PT, for over 17 years. She's also got a clinical practice in Florida where she specializes in limb loss. She's also got an awesome show, Cosi Talks, Wednesday night live, featuring everything limb loss. So welcome, Cosi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Hi,
Also
Cosi.
tonight is Greg Menino. Greg's been in the prosthetic and orthotic industry for over 20 years. He's worked with various manufacturers in R&D as a clinical specialist. He's also a certified practitioner, also an individual with limb loss, and he has medaled 22 times in the Olympics and Paralympics and downhill alpine skiing. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Thank you. Lots of fun, lots of funny. I've got Johnny right now texting me like, go into Zoom settings and do this. Listen, I'm not touching a thing. So
yeah. Johnny is my unofficial tech support as well, which is nice to have that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate Johnny. I think I'm just going to leave it alone. So, well, good. Welcome everybody. Thank you, Chris, for having me on again. Thanks for VitalFit's sponsorship of these webinars that we're doing. It's pretty interesting talking with Cosi this week and talking about, hey, we're already in summer and let's talk about some activities and the challenges that some of this can present and what we need to do and use some of our hacks and see what we can do. So, so thank you, Chris. It really is great to keep this going, and I think hopefully we're helping a lot of people. So,
Right on.
No, and guys, I'm excited about this talk. This is a talk that I get a lot of questions about this particular topic for this evening. It's that gray area where many of you have learned to become proficient with your prosthetic devices and you're getting around your homes fairly well. And physical therapy may have discharged you, but it's the now what scenario, for those of you who want to get back into perhaps some of the sports activities that you did prior to amputation. Or some of you that, yes, you're using your prosthetic device, but you're still getting winded pretty easily after walking 50 feet, and how you can improve your fitness and endurance. So we definitely have a couple of hacks for that for this evening.
good. Yeah.
As Greg said, with summer approaching, we definitely have zeroing in on a couple of more summer related activities for you guys.
Right. Right. Yeah. And with summer approaching, I know it's always summer in Florida and California, but here we're putting away skis and getting out mountain bikes. And I think we've got to think about that and how we're going to approach these different sports and make sure our prosthetics are all up to spot, torque specs and sockets are fitting. So just make that whole scenario a little bit easier. So,
yep. So
yeah.
Quick Cosi poll. How many of you are in this scenario right now? How many of you are in that gray area where you're wanting to become more active, even those of you who have been amputees for several years? And if so, what are some of the things that you want to get back to doing, especially for summertime? What are some of the activities that you would like to do? I want to see it in the comment section. Go ahead and start posting that there. Let's see. John is asking, what is the coalition from Washington? John, can you be a little more specific on your question?
Yeah.
If you mean like where you can find your support group for the Amputee Coalition, but if you don't mind specifying a little bit more there. Sophia says, watch the Summer Olympics. Okay, there you go. Vala wants to be able to snorkel.
Cool.
And Vala, we're gonna have hopefully some tips for you today about that. Let's see, Carol says water sports and swimming. Jody says, I live in Vegas and I've lost 30 pounds since February and it's 90 degrees here. And I'm having serious sweating issues. My liner's slipping off. I'm getting a new custom liner prosthetic, but it's going to take 3 weeks and I'm suffering every 2 hours or so from sweat. And we will touch upon that, Jody, because in Florida, our life is sweat. That's basically 12 months out of the year here. So we've got a couple of hacks there for you. So one of the first things we're going to kind of, when you're getting into any activity, guys, whether you're considering going back to snorkeling, whether you're just trying to manage getting back into walking and improving your fitness, it's 2 big things you got to think about: the prosthetic considerations for the particular activity that you want to do. And this is where you need to have a very good communication with your prosthetist and with your physical therapist to see what needs to be modified, if anything, on your prosthesis, or if you need to have a specialized prosthesis made for the particular activity that you want to do. And then the second thing is it's learning the adaptive skills associated with that activity. As many of you have probably already come to realize, life with a prosthesis is different than life with an anatomical leg. And it doesn't mean that you cannot do these activities. It just means you have to learn a different way. So we're going to hopefully give you some of that tonight. Greg, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's pursue what you used to do kind of theory. And I've always had that concept, the thought with the patients I work with is, we can do anything. We can be skydivers or whatever that was. It's going to be a little bit different. Have your prosthesis set up correctly for that activity is imperative. You'll figure a way. I think that's one of the best things and where I love working in patient care. And I know you do too, Cosi. It's just people find a way. But I always kind of miss the part of the newer amputee to the seasoned amputee. And there's so many different categories of where you're at in life. If it, like you say, if we're walking 5 steps or 5 miles, how do we pursue this? How do we journal this? And that's one thing I like to do is, and I talked to Chris about this yesterday. She doesn't like journaling. She told me, but I basically, I think journaling in a fact of setting goals more than like, okay, I'm going to write out a journal, what I did today, all that sort of thing. I'm going to say, I'm going to try to walk my dog 1 mile today, 2 miles, whatever that may be. And I think that's really productive and mentally healthy to get you to do and engage in the sports you used to. So just a thought I have there. So one thing that you should try, make a log, because you'll start noticing your logs will get longer and longer and longer, which is all about rehabilitation and what we're talking about here. So,
all right, disclaimer there. It's not that I don't I respect journaling. It's just I don't have the discipline to journal.
Right.
I'm just saying. I want to clarify that.
No, and that's good. It takes a lot. You know what the best thing is too, is we have these little devices, these phones now that we don't have to actually journal. I can put it in my scheduler or what I really want to do today. So that's kind of unique, and it's just something to help you. And I always think of it as it's just another tool to get me moving, to make me go try something different, play bocce ball, whatever that is,
And we're going to go over that tonight, guys. I'm actually going to give you my super high-tech tool that I use for my patients to help keep them on track, whether they are very, very, very compromised, such as my heart transplant patients, up through my higher end athletic patients. And we're going to get to that. And Greg, I think you're going to get a kick out of my very high-tech.
I can't wait to read it, because every time I work with I'm reading some of the comments here.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people talking about sweat right now, and I think it's a good time we could talk about a little bit of mitigation there, because again, coming into summer, our biggest culprit that gives us prosthetic problems is sweating, having to read on and read off that prosthesis, trying to keep the sock management. So I see a lot of comments going on about that. And if you've used it, the liquid powder, I don't know, I can't see myself on screen, but this product right here can dramatically change your life. And I know we don't talk enough about the products, in my opinion, on these webcasts, but try this product. It'll take care of the sweating issues, the chafing issues, the things that when we start engaging in these sports and we want to go out there and do what we love to do, and if sweat's a big one, this will really help you.
And that's something, guys, that I'm also recommending, because here in Florida, everybody loves to go to the beach. Like that is the thing in Florida, is how can I get myself back to the beach? And with the sand creeping into all sorts of fun places and the chafing, this liquid to powder also kind of helps with that as well. So Jody, as far as like the biggest sweat management, it's a lot of it is number one, it's acknowledging you probably will never get rid of sweat 100%. That is our body's way to cool off. And when you live in high degree places like Las Vegas and Florida, where we can get up into the upper 90s, your body has to sweat. How you manage it, that's where these products really come into play and can help out to make sure that there's no skin breakdown during those really, really, really bad days. So along with using these products for my patients, I always put together a kit for them. And of course, I don't have one with me right now. But basically just those little 3-ounce spray bottles. and we do half water, half alcohol. And I usually very rarely recommend alcohol because it can be very drying to your skin. Again, these are for those days where it's really hot and sweaty and you have to take your leg off at work, in the office, or in the car. Clean it off with the half water, half alcohol. Make sure it's all nice and dry. Clean the inside of your liner as well. Put on clean and dry socks. And that can really help in terms of just the sweat. Sometimes you just got to take off all the old socks, take off that liner, clean it, and put it back on again. And that's going to help prevent getting the rashes, getting the breakdown in the meantime. And then obviously at nighttime, using some of these products like the nighttime moisturizer, where your skin can just kind of recuperate after a long day of being in a hot, sweaty liner. So Chris, I think now would be a really great time to give away one of these products.
I think it's a great time. And I just want to note that Michelle, it's past my screen here, but she's lost some stamina, she said, and she's not really trusting her new prostheses and thinks she needs to go back to PT.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Greg and Cozy would agree that in order to move forward, you've got to be in a confident state as to where you're at. I'll let you mention that, Cozy, and then we can do the first giveaway.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to scroll back to read that because I did catch it, and it's imperative. Here's the I hate to use bread and butter of this. You want to listen to your PT and go to your PT as much as possible. You want to work with your process as much as possible to get your fit as comfortable and accommodating as possible. These are things that, and if you start stepping back and giving up a little bit on, and it goes back to my journaling thing, Chris, it's like setting these goals. Listen, I've got to do this for my better health, because we all know if we get out of shape, it's harder to get back in shape. I don't care if you're an Olympic athlete or a bocce player or whatever that is, or a sand hockey. What's that sand hockey game? I love that. But it's harder to come back from these things. So really trying to keep ahead of that and keep your weight even and the same. This all fits together with our talk, and it was a great question, and I caught it too. And I was trying to go back. Your stamina, you can lose it quickly. I found it. Okay. It's something that if it starts with walking 10 minutes a day, and then 15, and then 20, the more you do that, and the more that you trust yourself to go on uneven terrain, even creates a better balance point. There's so many tips and tricks out there. I use hiking ski poles, like trekking poles, all the time, because it gives me 2 more contacts with the ground. I trip and fall down a heck of a lot less when I'm doing that, but it gives you more confidence. And I guess that's why I bring that up. But if you are in a situation that you're losing and not trusting the prosthetic, if that's fit orientated, then that's something you really have to address quickly. Because if you're in 15 ply, you don't have a great connection, you're losing proprioception. These are all part of this whole rehabilitation part of getting back to what you want to do in life. So really think about that. So, and the worst thing in the world is have a patient, or even myself as a transfemoral amputee, not trust the prostheses walking down a hill. It's an uncomfortable situation, but this is where the whole PT, keeping your PT involved, physically fit, trying to do more journaling, whatever that outlet may be. I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry, but I think it's a really important point, because once you lose a little trust, it's a lot harder to gain that trust back. And that could be with prostheses, that could be with, the neighbor's dog, whatever that may be. So I know Cozy's got something to say, because I see her smiling right now. So I want you to interject and help me with this.
No. I was just going to say, we'll also get more into the walking program for those of you who are trying to build up your endurance, and how you can go about doing that step by step. And again, whether you're a beginner or more advanced.
Right. And when we get to that point, we do have some Q&As in there, 4 to be exact.
Yep.
Thanks, John, about the coalition from Washington. It talks about amputees. So my email is at the end of the program tonight. So reach out to me, and I'm going to follow up with you, John. And Lori, I'm super sorry you're bored with life without a prosthesis, and I hope you get back in it soon. And then Cortland is walking 6 to 7 times a week for 1.5 to 2 hours each time. Is that too much? Also, I would like to get a bicycle. How do I get into bike riding? So yeah.
Cortland, we're going to get into that a little bit down into the program. We're going to talk a little bit about the walking program as well as the bicycle program, but it's really nice to hear that you're walking that much. That's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Off that, if you're not having any problems with your skin integrity while you're doing these exercises and you're not having any problems with your health, then I say 2 thumbs up, keep going with it. If you're finding that you're having a lot of fatigue, if you're finding that you're having a lot of problems with your skin, then you might need to talk to your prosthetist and just see about how do you make adjustments to the prosthesis so it can keep up with your activity level. And if anything, it sounds like maybe you need to change it up a bit so you can challenge yourself a little bit more at this point. And
I agree. Good point, Cozy.
Yeah, that's what she wants to bike ride.
Yeah.
So
well, we're going to get into that.
Yes. So first giveaway.
Go ahead.
First giveaway. Woo! For the travel kit, which has 4 generous sizes of all the 4 products. My wonderful colleague, thank you, Greg. Jamie is going to put in the chat section a link. Please click on that link and type in the chat section the first few words of the first blog. And we will choose from the entries. So click the link, put in the chat box what the first blog says, first few words is fine. And then we're going to pick a winner. So good luck.
Good. And I'm reading comments as the Vanna is ticking away the Vanna theme song. I'm sorry. I see a couple of different, COVID related stamina. I didn't get out as much. Again, this is exactly where when I talked to Cozy yesterday, I was like, and Chris, like, we want to motivate you to try to do more. Write that down. Don't let this little thing that happened in our world set you back, because you can get back doing whatever you want. If it's alpine skiing, if it's snowboarding, water ski jumping, scuba diving. I think it's just something that you want to go out and have trust in the prostheses for one, trust in your PT and talk to your PTs and get signed off on this stuff. But it's important. I see I love the bike ride stuff, and we'll talk about that too further in the program. I'm a big biker. I just got my bike out. It got a flat a couple of days ago. I was looking at my tire going, better replace that. Sure enough, 3 miles away, I had to walk. But, maintenance equipment, I guess that's one of the bigger things. When I see a lot of people talking about wanting to go in water sports, I love having a water prosthesis. And I think that's the most incredible thing. So you can walk out on the beach, play with your dogs, whatever that is, but you've got to maintenance that. And maybe we can get your prosthetist to build one out of old parts, but it comes down to all this equipment. You got to really think about it's mechanical stuff that you want to maintenance. I know Cozy will tell you this. If you come in the clinic and it's all corroded and rusty, she's probably going to go, hey, hang on, let's check to make sure this is safe. So, so did we get a winner, by the way, as I'm sitting here?
Ingrid B. Congratulations, Ingrid B.
Ingrid B. For
pulled out of that hat. Congratulations, Ingrid. Ingrid, please. At the end of you're going to see the slide, take a picture and email me your address, and I'm going to send it to you.
Very
awesome.
Nice.
Congratulations, Ingrid. That's a great kit. This kit, and I try not to be the guy talking about it, but there's cleanser, there's day moisturizer, there's liquid to powder, there's night moisturizer. It's an incredible kit. And I think, Cozy, I caught up on you saying, hey, if you're doing all this, skin's good, skin integrity is great, you're running that much. I think if somebody's at the level that gal is, I'm sorry, I forget your name because there's so many people making comments. This is going to make it better. The VitalFit will make it better. And if you keep your skin integrity at its maximum, you're just going to do better as an amputee. So, so that's my pitch there. So if you're doing great and your skin is good, I think if you one little change, you're going to do much, much better. So I have to say it because I'm so behind the performance of this product and what it does for people. So On to more stuff. Johnny Vac, I see hiking poles are a must for me when I'm out in the woods. Agreed. Good point, Johnny. It's 2 more contacts to the ground. So you work your arms out too. So it's another something we really don't think too much about. We're getting a little bit of upper body workout when we're hiking with ski poles. That whole theory is it's like 20% better. So so why not? If you're on the beach, I think one of the hardest things for me as a transfemoral amputee is walking in the sand. So I want to hear a lot about what, Cosi, and how you approach your patients to walk in the sand. And then I got my cautions because people take their prostheses in the ocean. So
Yeah.
we need to talk about that. So,
and that's something that I definitely respect, because that's probably the number one activity that patients ask me when they come to my clinic is, when can I go to the beach? How can I get to the beach or to the pool? Because pretty much everybody here in Florida has a pool in their backyard.
right.
Very common. So definitely, like I said, it's a 2-prong approach. It's talking to your prosthetist about your prosthesis to see, okay, what accommodations need to be made. And then depending on where you're going for your water activity, your approach. Okay, so let's just start a little bit with the prosthetic considerations. So one of my favorite things to recommend is an old socket. Okay, so many of you prefer to go to a pool with both legs on. Many of you prefer to walk on the beach with both legs on.
Right.
So I usually recommend saying, unless you have one of those fancy schmancy knees that can go into the water and pretty much do everything, okay, to outfit an old socket. And for those of you who are below the knee amputees, just kind of keep one of those old feet that you may have had in the past and just use it. That way it can get used and abused, and you rinse it off after you're done. And then you can have a nice dry socket for your regular walking foot. And especially for the beach. And those of you who are above the knee amputees, I know many of my folks have decided to get a mechanical knee, just a simple, inexpensive mechanical knee that they can use while they're walking on the beach, that they can lock into extension. That's another thing a lot of my above the knees will do, just because it's easier, just a little bit steadier when you're walking across sand, when you're walking into water in the beach. And as far as the skin considerations, definitely watching your skin with the chlorine, with the salt water, with the sand, things can get irritated. So you might need to look at the sleeves and just see, okay, is there a different kind of sleeve I need to use when I'm in the water? Or is my everyday liner going to work just fine? And suspension. So especially we had a recent gentleman who made the news because he went parasailing and his leg came flying off.
Right.
And he lost a very expensive leg into the Tampa Bay. It was one of those things where I always like to mention that in case you're kayaking or wakeboarding or parasailing, very popular here in Tampa Bay, that you have an attachment to your socket, whether it's just a simple lanyard that is somehow attached to your wrist, similar to when folks go surfing so they don't lose their surfboard. Having your leg attached to you somehow. But also, again, if you are doing some of these more rigorous sports, you might need an extra suspension sleeve just to kind of help really keep things on. So
Absolutely.
some of the prosthetic considerations. Greg, I know you've got other stuff to add
Well,
there.
I agree. I think in a perfect world, we have a water prosthesis. I think most patients, it's to go on the beach with crutches is a little more demanding. I know everybody with their prosthesis on feels more whole for sure. That's why I do what I do. And so I rather walk. But you are so right. I've heard of a lot of lost prosthetics from water sports. So a leash, what I recommend is just a surfboard leash, have it connected to you. I personally have lost a prosthesis jet skiing, so I've been there.
It was you, Greg. No.
I've done it, and it's happened. Parachuting, any of these extreme sports like that you want to engage in, having auxiliary suspension is a good deal. Even when it comes to like cycling, wearing the right like gunslinger belts, the extra suspension, all these things are going to help and potentially keep that prosthesis on, because if you get hit by a big wave and your leg comes off and then you're hopping around, you're trying to find that leg, a lot of bad things can go wrong real quick. But I think it is nice to have it on the beach, but you gotta, again, maintenance that product. There's some really high-tech microprocessor knees that they say they're waterproof, and they are waterproof, and they have a warranty they're waterproof, and et cetera, but it's pretty tough on those components if you don't maintenance them correctly. So take care of your stuff. That's, that's my prosthetist hat. Like if you're in the sand a lot, have your prosthetist show you how to clean out that sand out of the foot shell, or, just do the general maintenance stuff will last, your products will last a lot longer. So, and that's pretty important, I think.
Can I interject just one sec? So Ashley brings up something important. What about folks that don't have a spare foot?
So Ashley,
yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah. Amputee 3 years for just 3 years. Well, that's 3 years though. And she's on her first foot.
So Ashley, for folks like yourself, and again, and that happens a lot, my first time users, number one, checking with the prosthetist. It could be that the foot that you're wearing could very well tolerate going into the salt water and into chlorine water. Again, just making sure you know how to take care of it. Another option, and I recommend this because for me, it's an investment in your quality of life. If your insurance is not willing to cover, there are some very inexpensive options for feet out there. You have old-fashioned satch feet. They're just wooden feet, and they can take a beating, and they can be just enough from the point A to the point B for your beach foot. Another one is, and I'm just coming to mind because I've had a couple of patients with this foot, is one by College Park, and it's kind of a satch foot, and it has a drain on the bottom of the foot to allow water to come out. Very inexpensive foot. I can't remember the price off the top of my head, but I remember thinking, wow, that's actually kind of a reasonably priced foot. Meaning if you have to pay out of pocket for this foot. My favorite, like if I had to splurge on something and just really get a nice beach foot, is the stubbies foot, the sidekick stubbies foot, where it looks like a little square. And again, this particular one is also made by College Park. It's got a nice tread on the bottom, and it's multi-axial. So it actually has a little movement in the ankle, and it's a fantastic foot for beach, pool, and shower. So these are just some things you might want to consider, especially if you're, like I said, here in Florida, that's our life, is going to the beach. So a lot of my patients, they find it worth their investment to maybe invest in that. Yeah,
I agree with you, Cosi. eBay. Believe it or not, there's a ton of feet on eBay. I mean, if it comes to that point, you don't have a backup fit, it's a couple $100 will increase your quality of life, be able to walk on the beach. I'm that guy for sure. And I believe that, perfect world, like I said earlier, if we've got old prostheses and we can build things out of those. So, but it's pretty important. I think living on the beach is down in Florida or California. It's nice to be able to just go do what you used to do, if it's as much as walking your dog, but not having something interfering with that. Maybe, that being a prosthesis or, not the right fit or something like that. But so good points. I think it brings independency that you can get out there and do what you want to do. I like playing bocce ball on the beach was like one of the funnest things I've ever done. So if that's what it is, it makes you happy, then let's get back out there kind of theory.
How you can do it.
Yeah.
And we had a question from Carol, and Carol, we're gonna tackle this right now. So Carol asks, can you talk about how to keep your balance when wading in the ocean and the tide? So remember what I said, it's a two-pronged approach when you're trying to figure out these activities: prosthetic considerations, and then the actual adaptive skill. And that's another, for me in physical therapy, that's a big one, because probably the most important skill that you need to learn when you're going to beach or pool is how to get up and down off the floor. That's usually one of my first approaches with a patient, is teaching them, okay, how can you do this safely to get up and down off the floor? Because it's just going to give you that many more options when you go to these places. Okay. So let's break it down, because there's some of you who are going, I don't know how to get up off the floor. How else can I do this? Right. So if you go, for example, to a pool, and I lifeguarded for many years, so I remember having to test out these chairs. For the most part, most of your pools will have the adaptive chair, meaning that chair that lowers into the pool that you sit into, it lowers into the pool and it gets out. So before you go to a particular pool, I would call ahead of time and just say, hey, This is what I need. Do you have it? And is it working? Has it been tested lately? Lifeguards are supposed to test this equipment out regularly so that you're not sitting there halfway in and halfway out of the water. So just to prepare yourself. Another approach, in the event that the pool does not have a chair that goes up and down, okay? Think about what assistive device you want to use to get to the edge of the pool, okay? Some people prefer to take their leg off and leave it in the beach chairs or leave it in their car, and then they come to the pool using their crutches or their walker, and then they will lower themselves onto the ground and scoot into the pool. Some people prefer to use both legs as they get to the edge of the pool, then sit down, remove their prosthesis, leave it at the edge of the pool, and then slide into the pool. Other people, especially if they have a little bit more difficulty getting up and down off the ground, I recommend that they find a nice sturdy chair, a foldable chair, where they can put it at the side of the pool, sit in the chair, and then lower themselves to the ground. Does that make sense, guys? Where it's not going from standing straight to the ground, it kind of gives them that middle area to rest a little bit, and it makes it a little bit easier, especially if you're still learning how to get up and down off the ground. And then my personal favorite is the stairs that go into the pool, okay? Because you can kind of scoot yourself down those stairs until you're able to stand yourself up on the one leg. So Greg, what are your hacks for in and out of the pool?
Yeah, your biggest hack that I'll never forget is taking the beach chair out into the water in the ocean and being able to sit down and then comfortably take off the prosthesis. So that's one I'll never forget. I'm really, pool scenarios can be very slippery, and for amputees, I just always caution to the wind, let's just be careful. I don't like to see hopping around pools. It's just, I've seen too many people slip and injure their residual limbs. So I'm really big about a water prosthesis. Back to that, you know, if we can have one, we can walk up, sit down, take it off, swim with it, or wear it in the pool. It depends. I have a lot of amputees, and I personally don't take my prosthesis off unless I'm going scuba diving or somewhere where I really don't need that. But again, that's a word of caution. It's like a boat anchor. And as we talk about different activities here, a big one that it's probably the best time to bring it up about boat anchor is I do a lot of paddle boarding, stand-up paddle, and it's a sport that's great for amputees. It gives you the ability of core strength, balance. It teaches you a lot of things, but make sure you're wearing your life preserver, because I rescued a guy, almost drowned one time in my life. He wasn't wearing the PDF, fell off, and the board blew away, and he would have drowned. But I was just happened to be close enough where I paddled to him. But so I think that I love that sport, but using the safety equipment along with that sport is imperative. A leash, so the board can't get away from you. Because when you fall off, the prosthesis on it, all of a sudden kind of feels like you've got a boat anchor trying to pull you down too. So wear the vest. I'm really big about those because I've just seen horrific things happen so quickly. But pool scenario, if you can walk in, if the lifts aren't working, if you're at that point, that point of your rehab, then great. But if you can walk into that pool, that's a much safer environment than trying to hop. So just kind of my take on it. I don't like to hop personally. Hopping and amputees around water sports there's a lot of factors that could go wrong. So I kind of think that in that aspect with any suggestions. So
yep.
So you may be going to get into this. What do you guys suggest? Because I'm an ocean person. So you've got the shoreline, and depending on undertow, and hopefully they're just nice, trickling in waves, but occasionally it's kind of rough on the shoreline. So what is one to do there? Just curious, because somebody sort of asked that question. Kay.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Cozy, yeah, I'm from Colorado. Go ahead. I'm here.
Yeah, but I like your hack the best, Greg, when we were having this conversation. So there's a couple of different approaches here in Florida. Number one, pick your beach. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but if you're somebody who does go to the beach a lot, there's definitely certain access points in the beach that I even know about where I'm just like, okay, the sand is nice and packed and flat and smooth. And this part of the beach, so that's where I'm going to park, because for me, it's easy to watch my 4 crazy kids. but also for, your walking surfaces. And those of you who do go to the beach a lot, you're going to know which areas of the beach are more friendly for you to walk on. As far as approaching into the water, check out to see if there's any tides or any rip currents going in. That's the obvious, just for safety measure. But there's a couple of ways. You can there's very few people that I see that can go just straight in, and that's even with 2 anatomical legs or they get knocked over, or going in sideways. That's one way where you just do sidestepping to go into the water until you're in a part that's comfortable. Or Greg's approach, which he told me, is walking in backwards.
Yeah, just back
That's
it in.
a really great way. And there's a couple of ways you can add to that. There are some of you that might want to use a walker as you're going in, and just use their, walkers are made out of aluminum. They can certainly be in the water to get yourself in. Another way is the PT buddy approach. Sometimes I am my patient's walker, where I'll have them hold on to my elbows, and it's a nice little locked system, and I will step in to wherever I'm going with my patient. So if you have somebody who's, your spouse or your friend who's a nice, sturdy individual, and you can hold on to their elbows, and then you both sidestep into the water. That's actually kind of a sturdy approach too. Locking your knee if you're an above the knee amputee. I find that if you lock your knee in extension, and that way it won't bend on you, the water won't make it bend. And Greg, I'm sure you can definitely comment on that more than I can.
Yeah, no, being able to lock, if you're going to walk into the surf, that the pressure of the waves will want to collapse the knee. So if you turn around backwards, the pressure of the wave will extend the knee, kind of theory. So you won't have that, when the surf's big and I'm at the beach, I find myself backing in a lot till I can dive in and get in there. So, but I mean, again, it comes down to whatever situation you're in here, figure it out. You've got your friends, your family. We've got a lot of ways of doing this. You're just doing it a little different, but I guess to get out there and do it again is really what the important stuff is in life. To be happy. And I was just reading here, Kay sits on her paddleboard and paddles around. I still hope you're wearing your leash, Kay, just in case, but good for you. When you learn to stand on paddle boards and stuff, it'll really teach great balance. So good. That's great stuff. But isn't it kind of cold to fall in the water in Alaska? Well,
right?
Yeah, I'm kind of like
polar bear.
Take the breath away.
And then one last thing about pool or beach, and I think the anxiety sometimes associated with trying something new.
Right.
That's usually what creates a lot of stress for folks when they are first learning to go back. So again, just something as simple as call ahead of time. If you're going to the pool, call ahead of time and arrange if the lifeguard can help you with, the specialized adaptive chair, or going to the pool at a time that it's going to be empty, so that you and your friend can help you practice how you get into and out of the pool without the pressure of just having everybody around you. And even same thing with the beach, is going out and scoping out, all right, what are the areas of the beach that have the best access, that tend to have less waves, and how can I practice when I don't have 50 pairs of eyes watching me do this activity, because I know that's what I hear a lot from folks is part of just the pressure of trying it out.
Sure. And I think that's a good point, Cozy, because everybody's curious, everybody wants to look, and then some people, they're not comfortable with it. And so good, that's a huge point that we probably always overlook. Just as simple as trying to go and enjoy myself at the beach and not worry about what that kid's thinking till I get my mojo all together. So good point. I think it's one of the easy things not to talk about, but it's something for everybody as a new amputee. So,
okay.
So good point. Very good point. I
Chris?
see a lot of bicycle. What's that?
It's her turn. She's gonna do a cool giveaway.
I think it's time
Is it time
for
for giveaway?
all right, another starter kit giveaway.
Good.
My fabulous colleague Jamie is going to insert the link in the chat box. There we have the fabulous 4-part kit.
Night moisturizer.
So we're going to draw a name out of a hat. Please go to the link and tell us the name of the first webinar, or at least a few words. The first webinar on that link. Go.
Was that a go?
That's a go.
Okay, so while we're talking, we got to let the van of music go a little bit. I see a lot of questions on biking here. I'm going to back it up. So I think it's a good time to throw in some biking hacks here, because I know Florida and California, you two ride bikes a lot. I'm a biker too. But there's a lot of little hacks that really have changed it for me. I use clip-in pedals. A lot of transfemoral amputees aren't, real keen at clipping in at first. And I don't know if it's the greatest way to start, because the first thing you do is fall over because you can't get your foot out. But I think as you progress and get better, clip-ins do work very, very well. But that's the learning curve that could be pretty dramatically quick to the ground. I'll say that. But wearing 2 to 3 pair of cycling shorts, especially if you're a transfemoral amputee, because our sockets are pretty intimate. If you're ischial contained, just having that extra cloth fabric between the saddle, that could be the biggest game changer for most people. Say like, okay, putting on the, my butt's looking big because I got 3 pair on, but I'm comfortable. So, but that's one of the bigger hacks I think that we've learned out there.
Yeah.
When I ride my beach cruiser, though, I don't use toe clips. I just keep my feet on the pedals. So, and I'm a big beach cruiser guy, but that, what I see these questions. So what do you think about some of that beach cruising at the beach?
Well, a lot of people, like I know that the recumbent bicycle is definitely something I like to recommend for a lot of folks. It's safer. It's a great way to get the exercise going. A lot more secure for folks.
Sure.
And also many of my patients who also have back pain, this is a great way for them to be able to get that exercise and not stress out their lower back. So let's see, I'm seeing here from Carol, do you know of any bilateral BKs who ride 2-wheelers? Carol, I personally don't know, but I know it's possible. And
Absolutely.
you would be the one I would say, we need to get you on a bicycle.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's see, John says, I love stand-up biking. I do not use lip pedals, but I understand why you would, because the prosthetic feet can fly off the pedal with very easily at times.
Which could be.
Yeah. And a lot of times my patients, they'll just start off, in a parking lot, and they'll just experiment the same way that you experimented the first time you learned how to ride a bike. If you don't want to put a magnetic pedal on just right away, it's just learning how to stay on the bike again and just adjusting to that new balance.
That's right.
So Carol, you have the 3-wheeler bike cruiser. That's a pretty sweet ride.
Yeah, that's a great one. E-bikes now, that's huge. I actually want one, everybody, and you really can't ride e-bikes everywhere. That's what I'm finding out, but I'm like, boy, those hills are getting bigger. So it'd be kind of fun to, wheel up the hill and, ride down. So I think that, the best thing about e-bike, it gives even a bigger arena for disabled, riders to engage in. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm seeing Johnny's put on here, deep sea fishing. What's going on there, John? We going deep sea fishing, by the way?
I want to go.
I know. I just saw him pop it up there. Yep. He must have got his ticket to go fishing. Let's go.
So we've got a winner.
Do we?
Okay.
Sorry, Greg. Lori R. Congratulations on winning the 4-part travel kit.
Awesome.
Very nice.
So,
Very good, Lori. Have you tried it, Lori? I'm curious. Is this the first time? I don't know if we've ever asked that question, Chris or Cozy. On first-time winners or other winners, have they tried it? Probably should ask that question.
We'll find out. Well, I'm going to throw in another COSI poll before we start on the next segment. How many of you struggled with weight gain after your amputation, and in the process, or since you've been using your prosthesis, that you struggled with weight gain? This is a very kind of my segue into the next part, which is the walking program. This is a huge motivator for a lot of folks that I know after limb loss to want to get back into their fitness, because many of them gained weight just from the process of the waiting for the surgical wound to heal until they were fit with a prosthesis and just basically get moving again. I see some people raising their hand right there. So they're probably going, yeah, that was me. Right. And I've seen people, gain from as little as 10 pounds, which is still pretty significant, to as many as 30, 40 pounds after limb loss. And it makes it very challenging, obviously, for the fit of the leg, for just the general health. So probably if I had to recommend one thing, let's see, Vala says, I did this past year and having a difficult time getting back into the walking habit. John says, I struggled with weight gain and high blood pressure post-amputation. Kay with the pandemic and the winter weight. And, yeah, let's lump a pandemic into everything where we're all sitting on our bottoms at home. So if there's one thing that I had to recommend to anybody who's listening, from my above, below the knee, from my 20-year-olds to my 80-year-olds, it's a walking program. It's basically get up, get moving, get your metabolism going and start burning some of those calories. But the question is, where do you start? How do you begin? And how do you build up that endurance? Okay. So just as like the basic anatomy, your heart, it's cardiac muscle. It is a muscle. So you're going to train that muscle in the same way that you train all of your other muscles. You have to provide a little bit more stress and load to it in order for it to get stronger. And then Paul, would you be able to throw up my extremely high-tech device? Not that one. There he goes. He's got it. He's got it. It's coming. And I have to give Paul credit. I kind of threw this at him like 2 minutes before we started. So in a few moments, Paul is hopefully going to put up there this chart, and I have it here, but hopefully you'll be able to see it better when he puts it up there. There it is. Oh, thank you, Paul. So guys, I worked home health for really, really long time, and I worked in heart transplant units, and I've worked with running athletes. And this is the log I give to all of my folks, okay? The simple thing, what Greg said upon earlier this evening, the simple act of documenting what you're doing really, really goes a long way to keeping you accountable, okay? So every one of my patients, they knew that when I would come to their home for the home health visit, that the first thing I would do is I would check to see if they filled their log out, and it would help me check their progress, and it would help me show them what their progress is, okay? So I call it from the 2 chairs to the 2 miles. So some of my patients, they say, well, I'm kind of using my prosthesis, but when I walk from one end of the house to the other, I get winded. And I go, well, that's where we're going to start. So for folks who are in that stage, I would literally get 2 chairs that they could get up from, and I would put the chairs one in front of the other. And if my patient told me, yep, at 100 feet, I get winded, then I would put the chairs 80 feet apart, okay? And I would tell them, get up from one chair, walk 80 feet to the other chair, and then you sit down and you rest. And you rest, and I take their heart rate and I show them how to monitor their heart rate. I show them how to monitor their respiratory rate. And then I say, okay, now it's time for you to walk another 80 feet. Okay. So if you can see on this little high-tech walking log here, you can see the date, right? Obviously the date, and then the distance. And I have written on that first one, 100 feet times 2. Okay. So that basically meant that my patient walked 100 feet, sat down and rested, and then walked another 100 feet. And then you can see the HR stands for heart rate. The DI is called the Dyspnea Index, and that's something a physical therapist can teach you how to do, where basically it tells you how exerted you are. And then there's a column where I had extra. So if I had extra things for my patient, if my patient was somebody that I needed to monitor their water intake, I'd have them put that. If I'm monitoring their weight, I put that down. So that can be your extra notes section. Simple. You don't need an app. You just need a piece of paper and to be consistent with it. Now, what I want to point out to you guys is the 1 week later, 2 weeks later, and 3 weeks later. Okay. So many people think that in order for them to be able to walk 2 miles, that they have to push themselves until they walk the 2 miles. And that's not how it works. Okay. If you're starting off at 100 feet times 2 the first week, do that consistently every day. Okay, and you're monitoring your heart rate. And if your heart rate is fine, it's handling it, and you're not as fatigued, the following week, you add in a 3rd repetition. Okay, the reason is if you try to walk 300 feet in one fell swoop, you're gonna be exhausted, okay? But if you take that 300 feet and divide it up into 3 segments, and you do 100 feet, take a break, another 100 feet, take a break, another 100 feet and take a break, you'll be able to complete that distance in that time frame, and the cardiac results are the same. Okay, guys, so I want to repeat that because this is where a lot of folks get stuck. This is why many people can't progress past a certain distance, okay? So if you're getting winded at 100 feet, that's when you need to stop and take a break and rest. As long as you walk a certain distance within 24 hours, it doesn't matter how you break it up, you'll still get the cardiac benefits. And this is similar as to how marathoners will train, okay? They will do what are called mile repeats. They'll run a mile, they'll rest. They'll run another mile, they'll rest. They'll run another mile and they'll rest. And they'll do 10 of those in one day. And before they know it, they're running the 10 miles. Okay, so the concept of cardiac training, of getting your endurance up, is the same whether you're somebody who's on the heart transplant list, and this is how I'd work with my people on the heart transplant list, or if you're looking for a higher end athlete. Okay, now for those of you who are already in the walking stage, that you're already walking a mile, walking 2 miles, maybe some of you who are actually running, the general rule of thumb for that point would be to increase your distance about 10% a week. Okay, so if you're walking a mile and you're doing that consistently 4 or 5 days a week, then the following week you're going to walk a mile plus 1/10. And the reason for that is you're slowly increasing the distance and you're not going to predispose yourself to injury. Clear as mud? Yeah, we're good. Thank you, Paul.
Very nice.
Oh, that's excellent.
Great explanation.
Real quick, can I interject? John, I apologize. He's asked 5 times. How long does a liner last? Now I've been out of it a little bit, but at least Greg confirmed 6 months is when you can get them from an insurance standpoint. As far as how long should they last, that's a kind of a relative question as well, because it depends on, you know, how much you're wearing it and et cetera. So I'm going to let Greg take that one.
No, good point, Chris. You said it. Every 6 months, your insurance will reimburse for a liner. Some insurance will give you 2, but depending on your activity level, how tough, how well of care you take of them, they could tear. I've seen guys destroy liners in 2 weeks, but 6 months is kind of the norm. But it comes down to keeping it clean, and that's again where we come with our daily cleanser in the products here. The cleaner you keep it, the nicer they look, the more you'll be apt to wear it and get more time out of it. When they start getting really dirty and skanky looking, this when typically you don't want to wear it as much. But let's just keep it like a 6 months thing. Take care of them. It's what I've tried to preach to everybody about your prostheses. If you're taking it in the water, if you're going on the beach, if your liners, whatever that may be, the better care you take of these components, the better performance you're going to get. And that comes down to your skin with the VitalFit system too. You're going to have better skin integrity. You're going to have better performance out of your everyday life when it's walking 100 yards or 10 miles, whatever that is. So, it's really important, but good question. I see another question. Cortland's got, where my liner contacts my leg, I get a skin breakdown a little bit there. Liquid to powder, man. Keep it clean. Those are the things. Like Cozy said earlier, is keep it clean. If you've got to use a little bit of, isopropyl alcohol to kill the sweat, clean it up, whatever it takes. Because you're driving this bus. And I always say that to my patients that I work with. I go, well, you're the one driving the bus. So let's make sure everything's, maintenance here. So, yeah.
Question, how do you handle distance if the socket fit is limiting you? I can go 3 miles, but I have to stop and dock the leg to get it back right on.
Okay. Yeah, that's one. Good on you. 3 miles is good. That's a good walk for anybody. I try to personally walk 2 miles a day. That's my goal. I have my little journal and I go 1 mile at the end of my road and 1 mile back. And if I do that every day, I do feel a lot better about my daily stuff. But if you're being interrupted, is that sweat interruption? Is it time to have your prosthetist take a look at how many ply you're wearing? Depending if you're wearing a suction fit, there's a lot of things going in there. But if we can mitigate the sweat and keep your skin integrity healthy, you're going to do well. But you may have to stop and redon that prosthesis occasionally. Biking is one of the biggest ones where I find myself having to pull and read on my prostheses more so than any other sport, because you can catch the saddle, pop the leg off real easy. I mean, and I think Kay or somebody put a comment, hey, how do I prevent that? You can prevent it by wearing more padded shorts, because you're getting more, fabric between that saddle and that prosthesis. So just a couple of tips there, but I think if you're walking 3 miles a day and you've got to read on, I'm going to give you a big thumbs up and keep up the good work kind of theory.
Right.
Well, and then just to add on to that, Tim, I work with a lot of runners in the clinic, and suspension is usually one of the biggest things we need to address with that, especially if you're in above the knee where the socket likes to rotate. So sometimes if you're in above the knee, adding that hip belt, they call it the TES belt.
Yeah, test belt, yeah, or like a gunslinger. Knit-Right makes them too. They work great. I use one for skiing, for my skiing prostheses, just because that little extra suspension does wonders. So.
Yep, and then also for the below the knee as well. One of my hotshot below the knee runners, she has it's almost like a neoprene sleeve that goes over the entire socket and up halfway up her thigh, and that just really locks everything in really well. And then another thing to consider, Tim, if you're somebody who is, if walking is something that you're very serious about and you do these kind of distances, and maybe you're thinking about running, it's time to maybe talk to the prosthetist and see, okay, do I need to make a dedicated leg for this? Or will simple adjustments to your current leg work? Just to have that conversation. And
no,
guys,
that's a huge point, Cozy, huge, because there's some, you could be a Paralympic runner if you really want to be, I think, and I try to encourage everybody I deal with, if that's what you want to do, let's do it. Let's optimize if we can get that correct prosthesis set. So that's huge. One other thing that I'd say for everybody in going out there and engaging in their life again, probably a good thing to carry is a 4mm Allen key in your little day pack with your extra sleeves and socks and stuff. It's a lifesaver. Things come apart some at the worst time. So I never hike, and I'm a prosthetist, and I use the torque wrench and Loctite, and I never go anywhere without a wrench in my pack. So just one little hack could really, you may save somebody in the airport by being able to tighten their fit up if it came loose. So as simple as that is, and they'll let you travel with them. So just another little hack. I always think about these things after the fact. I'm like, well, I don't go anywhere without that wrench. So yeah, the little things.
With you. So guys, real quick, I do want to give a shout out to the folks watching us on Facebook. We got Mark and Harsh on here. For those of you who are interested in perhaps seeing some more of these webinars also through our Facebook Live, there's a little button that you can click that'll say notify you when VitalFit goes live. Because I know sometimes we might sign up for things and then we forget about it. So if you are interested in keeping up with these webinars, because we are doing them twice a month and we got some pretty cool topics, you can follow us on the Facebook, and just the same way for many of you will do for my own show. I know many of you do the same thing. So something you might want to consider. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
And we are rolling into a little over the hour mark. So I'm going to give Cozy and Greg an opportunity to share anything further. And then for the folks that would like to stay on, we're going to put a survey out along with the discount code. And we'll pick a name from those that participate in the survey. We really appreciate the input. Excuse me, it helps us do better and create webinars that you're excited about. And we will draw a name for a full-size 4-part kit. So the whole caboodle. So I'll let Greg and Cozy say their comments for
parting salvos here. No, I think
I know that sounded so sad.
I know. But my thing, guys, if I had to do a soapbox, and y'all know I love my soapboxes, it's the walking program, especially now with this pandemic, where some of the gyms are closed, some are not closed. Some of you don't feel comfortable going to the gym, and I don't blame you. A walking program is cheap. It's actually pleasant, especially now at this time of year where y'all can get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, and it is effective. It is effective, guys. And as long as you're consistent with it, you can really start to see results. And regardless of what adaptive sport or activity you want to get back into, having a nice foundation with your endurance is going to help with that. So hopefully some of you will start a walking program tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah, I've said it. I think I've been saying this for a few months now. Walking is the most important thing for amputee. You just go out and walk, and if it's walking your dog, and so I agree with the walking program, Cozy, 100%. Go out there and enjoy the outdoors, walk a little bit. If some days may be better than others, if not, that's what it is. At least you're out there doing it. Go engage in the sport you love. Whatever that was, pre-amputation, there's no reason you can't do it 10 times better. You're just using something a little trickier and getting a little, more seasoned group around you to help you, because there's so many amputee sport groups out there and there's so many activities offered. Try it, but safety first. Remember, safety first. Wear that leash. We don't want anybody to, drown on us or anything, but I agree with Cozy. It's great. I think the walking program is how you start this all out. That could progress your fitness into a biking program, recumbent program. The sky's the limit. So just, and that's why VitalFit does this. And I got to say it again, Chris, thank you. You're making this possible for all these people to listen in and maybe go, well, if that old guy can do it, I can do it. So,
right on. I'm not sure where that old guy is. So thank you, Paul, for putting the link. If y'all look at the chat section, you'll see the link to the survey, and please fill that out. In the survey, you can share your email address, and I will let you know who the lucky winner is. And again, appreciate the input so much. And we appreciate your time and spending this wonderful hour with Cozy and Greg. So we hope to see you in the future. Paul Sewell's going to throw up a slide that will have the discount code for future purchases towards VitalFit. There it is.
Very nice.
Take a picture, write it down. And then the next slide is our famous and fabulous Cozy Cox. So there she is in all her glory. So check her out. Her show's amazing.
True.
Thank you. Thank you.
And lastly, the last slide is going to have my information. If you check that out at the bottom, give me a shout out. If there's anything that you'd like addressed that we didn't cover today, basically anything our team can do to help you, please reach out to me.
Yeah.
Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, send us an email. We're here to help. I'm reading here. Have we ever heard of a below knee amputee bowling? Absolutely. Mr. Johnny Vaca, I'm sure he can help you with bowling. That guy does everything, but it's doable for sure. Chris, thank you. Cozy, thank you so much. We're here to help. Email us. I'll try to answer any email. It's a pleasure to work with these two ladies, so I'm lucky.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, VitalFit, again for this.
All right. Take care, everybody, and have a good evening.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.